South Africa thrash Australia in Lucknow. What a performance by the Proteas today. On the preview show yesterday, we spoke about what we'd like to see from the Proteas performance. We said that we'd like to see, obviously, a clinical performance. We want to see them put everything out in the middle. They needed to, obviously, read conditions well and do everything that they know how to do as best as they can. They put everything out in the middle. They really did read conditions really well. And I have to say that this was a very clinical performance by the Proteas today against a wounded Australia team that we were thinking would bounce back and would cause some problems for South Africa in the match. And yes, they did. And there was some moments in the game that we're going to speak about on today's show about this particular performance and where South Africa could have done better and where we went wrong. But let's first and foremost just try and celebrate this win and enjoy this win in the moment as fans. We've too many times in World Cups have we had um, poor performances in recent times, and we've sat here disappointed, and we've sat here with a I could say a very sad feeling in our hearts and a heavy feeling in our hearts after games in World Cups in recent times. But so far, 2 out of 2 in this World Cup, and I think we should all revel in this a little bit and enjoy it as much as we can, and try to celebrate this win as a community here at Cricket Fanatics Magazine. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. Please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. There's some excellent insight from Eric Simons as well, who I think you guys can go and look at some of the comments that he made before this performances, because I think that he needs some credit with how he's worked with these bowlers, particularly with the way they have continuously improved since that Australia series from game one till now. There's a lot of positives to look at with regards to our bowling attack and specific players that have been under a lot of scrutiny. If you want to support us as well with regards to everything that we do here, helping us get interviews, helping us do these shows on a regular basis, then become a patron today. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. Very important that you guys do so. You also need to smash the like button, comment, and share. And also go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. It is a call-in show if you guys want to call in a little bit later, but I'm looking forward to discussing this with you guys. Very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid Mohideen, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket, but particularly this victory against Australia. I mean, ultimately, all of us can be really happy about what we saw here today. I mean, we came into this tournament with a lot of doubts, etc. Coming into this tournament, we weren't 100% sure how the South African team was going to perform in this tournament, and a lot of us were speaking about strategy, and we were talking about approach, and we were talking about what we'd like to see from this Proteas unit. The first thing that came out from all of us, and a lot of us in the live chat, including myself, I said intensity. We wanted to see the Proteas play with intensity and play to their strengths. And boy, did they do that today. The reason I say that is because this wicket was relayed. A lot of us didn't know how we were going to approach this game. Were we going to pick two spinners? Were we going to still keep Gerald Coetzee, who had a good game in the last game against Sri Lanka? How were we going to approach our batting in the power plays, etc.? And the worst thing could have happened at the toss. We lost the toss, and Pat Cummins put us into bat, but it ended up being in the Proteas' favor. We know, as a South African fan base, how comfortable we feel when we are batting first and have to defend with the ball. So South Africa was put into bat. Pat Cummins and Temba Bavuma, both of them said they weren't sure about this pitch. They weren't sure about how this pitch was going to play. They weren't sure about how this pitch was going, if the ball was going to move, if the ball was going to swing. And it did. And the thing for me was I was sitting nervously at the edge of my couch trying to just watch how we approach our batting, because there were two bowlers coming from both ends from Australia's perspective that have been quite effective against both of our opening batters. Stark against Temba Bavuma and Hazelwood against Quinton de Kock. So I wanted to see how they would face that. The ball nipped around a bit, moved around a bit from the get-go. Mitchell Stark was finding some swing. But the Proteas took a very cautious approach. They just went at 5 runs and over, got their eye in, tried to build a foundation and a partnership. I always said on this channel plenty of times in plenty of previews, all I want from our opening batters is for them to set a platform so that when our middle quarter come in, there's not a lot of pressure on them to have to go from the get-go. They can just slow things down and they can play their natural games. So that is something that I was really happy about when it comes to South Africa, because what ended up happening is we started building momentum slowly, putting pressure back on Australia. We kind of just like survived in a way, but not in a way that was alarming for me. Yes, we got a little bit lucky here and there, and luck went in our favor this time around. For the first time in a long time, we saw an Australian team drop a couple of catches, give us a little bit of opportunities, and something that we've been calling for so long, for so many World Cups, is Quinton de Kock to perform. And boy, did he perform today. Quinton was fantastic. He stood up as a senior player. We spoke about it yesterday after watching and reacting to his press conference. A lot of us were speaking about how focused he looks and how he was talking with a certain confidence, and he was talking with a certain assurance, and he was analyzing certain situations and giving his thoughts on what he thinks is going to happen and how they are feeling currently. And I thought that was something that to look at. I really thought that it was something interesting from that perspective, because it was a switched on Quinton de Kock, a Quinton de Kock that is looking in amazing form currently. And I don't want to say it, but he's almost already done his job in this World Cup. I know it's a long tournament and we want more performances from him, but I don't think I expected him to score 200 so early on in the tournament. He's never scored 100 in a World Cup before, and now suddenly he has back-to-back hundreds in one game. So to give you guys a quick understanding as you guys come onto the stream of what took place in the game. So first and foremost, Australia won the toss and elected to field first, which was a worrying decision for me, because I thought that they would opt to bat and try to defend, especially how we know in India it's been quite difficult to chase in general when the dew comes on a little bit later. But what was very important for me was how was this pitch going to act up. Now, there was a little bit of bounce, there was swing movement, but if you put it in good areas, you can see that you can really bog down the opposition. And Australia kind of did that for us in the first couple of overs. South Africa never really got going in the first part of the power play, but as the power play went along, South Africa started to pile on the runs. After 20 overs, or 19.4 overs, South Africa were 108 for 0. And then the spin came in, and I was a bit frustrated that Maxwell took wickets because it wasn't necessarily getting. I didn't think that they were going to get so much turn in the first innings, but they managed to get some turn, and that gave me some hope for when we bowl. But Maxwell took out Temba Bavuma, who at that point wanted to try and kick on, very unselfishly tried to kick on and try to take the game forward. He could have stuck it around and stayed at the crease and batted like Labuschagne did today, and batted conservatively and just tried to get his milestone while Quinton de Kock hits at the other end. But he tried to kick the game on as a captain should, and he ended up not clearing the ropes and not getting a six and going out, of course. Then Quinton de Kock continued his innings with Rassie van der Dussen, who was looking very much in form in this particular match. He was really looking quality, and I thought that he was going to go on and also score another half century or milestone in this particular match. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And at this time, it was the spin again of Zampa that took Rassie van der Dussen's wicket. And at this point, we were 158 for two in 28.3 overs. And South Africa was starting to look a little bit wobbly. And now we were starting to have, maybe I was starting to have this little bit of um, thoughts in my head of, oh, is this going to be a collapse? Because normally when one wicket falls, another one falls. But Aiden Markram came into the crease and another milestone for him. What a run of form he's on at the moment. There's a purple patch happening here from Aiden Markram's perspective. He just, whenever he sees Australia, kind of thinks, this thing he sees like, ah, he sees a win. And what ended up happening is he batted beautifully. He was looking so good. And I was hoping that this wasn't one of those performances where he looks so good and then ends up losing his wicket. But he did his job for me. I know he would have liked to score more runs, but 56 or 44 deliveries, 7 fours and a six at a strike rate of 127, it did the job for me. And and I think what really maybe affected him is Quinny losing his wicket at the time. But I don't blame Quinny at all, because Quinny put on a magnificent performance today. He took South Africa to 197, almost into the 200 mark. He batted till the 35th over. He scored 109 of 106 balls at a strike rate of 102. He scored 8 4s and 5 6s. Some of the shots that he played today was just marvelous. He played all around the ground. He ran well between the wickets. It was a matured innings from Quinton de Kock, very much so. And I really enjoyed every single moment watching him bat today. It makes me sad thinking that at the end of this World Cup, we're not going to see him play ODIs anymore. It really makes me sad, because he's always been one of my favorite batters, and I just love watching him bat, especially when he is in an environment that supports who he is. It doesn't try to force him to be someone that he's not. And I think that is the environment that is really being built here with regards to the South African team. There are some players in this team that have a very strong mentality. South Africa couldn't have picked better players when it comes to having mental strength. I mean, majority of the players in this team really have shown domestically and for franchises, when they play for franchises, that they have a strong mental, a strong mental game. And I like that. And even with the youngsters that they pick, like Marco Jansen, he's showing it over and over again. He's not scared of this big stage. He goes out there and he does his thing, does the best that he can. And I've always said that. I've said it consistently from the moment that we first interviewed Marco, right in the beginning, in 2019 when we interviewed Marco. I mean, we covered the Kaya Majora week, and we were the first people to actually get Marco out there and get his name out there, him and his brother. And I started speaking about it back then already, that this boy's mentality is something else. Yeah, he just showed me this. He showed me a sense of understanding of his game, a sense of no fear. He never had any fear in his game from when I saw him as a kid and coming through the system to where he is now. And he had this meteoric rise in the game that I think is just marvelous to watch. And it should inspire a lot of youngsters in general when it comes to being a professional cricketer. He's really taken the game to like a duck to water over here. Um, he's he's been marvelous, and he's constantly improving with bat and ball. But Markram took us to about 263 for four by the 43rd over, or the 44th over at least. He's lost his ball on the first ball of the 44th over. And it really was at a difficult time, because South Africa was really looking like they were going to go on to score 320. At that moment, 320, 350 even was on the cards, especially with Heinrich Klaassen coming out. And then he lost his wicket. And then shortly after, Heinrich Klaassen lost his. And I was probably the most disappointed with Heinrich Klaassen's wicket, to be fair, because I really thought that because he didn't perform in the first game, the second game coming now, he will try to get some form. And I feel that was a shot that was played that wasn't really necessary. Going after the shorter delivery was a clear plan for bowlers today, that you don't need to fall into that trap. Just duck. if it's you in a situation where the game is set up for a flurry of runs, you're going to get balls that are going to be in your arc. Just be patient and try to go for boundaries. Another person that really disappointed me today a little bit, and it's not too much because I don't want to look at negatives too much, but it was David Miller. He came in at in the 44th over, and he only faced 7 balls by the time he got to the last 3 overs, which I don't think is a very good thing to have when you are senior batter. You should be taking the strike. And Marco was seeing more of the ball. It shouldn't have been that way, but it was good experience for Marco, and I'm not really complaining about it because Marco went out there and he performed and he put on a great performance, 17 or 13 at the strike of under 30, 1-4 and 1-6. He actually took us over the 300 mark, which is something that we were hoping for. But I would have liked David Miller to take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, look, I'm the main guy. Let me face most of the balls. And then if you are facing, just go out there and swing, Marco. Don't worry about losing your wicket. I'm at the other end of the year. I'm going to try to bat until the end of the game and try to push us to 320, 350. Didn't happen like that. Marco actually took us past the 300 mark and to 310, in fact. And then Miller lost his wicket in the last over. He only really faced 13 balls, which I don't think is a good sign from a senior batter when they come in so early into an innings. But when he came in, obviously there was a batsman in form, but I would have liked him to actually set it up and think ahead and say, look, yeah, I need to face as many balls as possible here so that in the last 3 I can face as many balls and try to push us on to 330. In the end, it's not. It worked in our favor. It didn't really affect us. And the reason it didn't affect us after we scored 311 for 7 in 50 overs was our bowling attack. And I'm going to give, I did a little preview in the week where I looked at the stats and I tried to see who would be the top players at this ground, who would be key. And I specifically picked out Lungingiri. He had a good record previously at the ground in the last match that was played there. And I just thought that this wicket would be the perfect wicket for someone like him. For his slower deliveries, actually, his back of the hand slower balls, his slower cutters. That's what I thought was going to happen. But then Lungingiri came to the crease and he was bowling 140 plus, 140 regularly, swinging the ball. Ball was moving around. He was putting them under pressure, giving them no chances to score runs. And then what happened was Marco Jansen backed it up at the other end with a similar thing. And I was extremely proud of the performance of those two today. They really put the pressure on Australia's top order. They had nowhere to go. They had no free deliveries to score, except that when it was getting to Marco's 4th over and when it got to that point, um, the thing that is amazing about it was that towards the 4th over, toward these 4th over, and so he maybe got a little bit of wides and he gave away some no balls, but he was so clinical. He was so accurate today, and I was so proud of him by the way that he knew that this Australia batting order is world class, and at any day they can destroy anybody, and they bowled with such maturity today. Lungi and Marco were fantastic. I just can't give them more praise than I can right now. I mean, Mitchell Stark lost his wicket to Jansen. David Warner lost his wicket to Ngidi. And they really set it up. They really set up the game for someone like Rabada. Now, there was a little bit of drama in the match. You can never have a match against Australia without any controversial, maybe. You could say to an extent controversial, but I just think that Australia need to stop whining when things don't go their way, because ultimately the DRS is the DRS, and it proved to be out. Even though everybody was dumbfounded by it, the umpire looked confused, Lapaskachny looked confused, Steve Smith looked confused. I was confused that was out, but in the end, Steve Smith was out, and it sparked a fire up in KG. Now, I told you, I spoke about this also in the preview and leading up to this tournament. I said, guys, watch KG, because if we can get off to a massive win in the first game and then end up beating or getting on top of Australia in the second game, you're going to see a different type of KG. And today we saw a different type of KG. KG was fantastic. I can't be more happy about his performance. 3 for 33 and 8. overs, 4 for 12. He took out Steve Smith. He took out Marcus Stoinis. He took out Josh Inglis with a beautiful delivery. Like that was just the wicket of the day for me. And he really put South Africa in the driving seat. And then Maharaj at the other end, bowling with that consistency, keeping the Australians at bay. He was fantastic with the way he performed in bowl today. And those 4 guys actually ended up taking 6 wickets for 70 in 17.2 overs. And Australia had no answers. So Australia had absolutely no answers. But then we did something that is a little bit of a South African thing to do. We kind of allowed them to get a little bit back into the game a bit. Labuskaghni and Stark putting on a partnership of 60 odd, and they started climbing back into the game. And we're sitting there thinking like, hey, are they going to be able to like get closer to the score? But it was a little bit of a little scare, but in came Temba Bavuma with his great captaincy once again, because I think the way he utilized his bowlers today, when he brought on when he brought out the bowlers at the right places, the fielding placements, the fielding today, guys, whoa, we were really intense in the field. Some great stops, some great running around the field. It was brilliant all around. And then he brought in Marco Jansen, and Marco Jansen struck immediately. He took out Mitchell Stark, and then they were at that point 139 for 7 after 33 and a half overs. And then we struck again. And it was Maharaj this time, getting the wicket of Labuskaghni for 46. And that was in 34.4 overs. And then we allowed Pat Cummins to have a little flurry of boundaries too. And this is something that I think South Africa needs to improve. We have always said it, at the death, to finish off teams, we can be a lot more ruthless at the death. That's something that we can work on. We tend to let a couple of players maybe get ahead of themselves and score runs. But Pat Cummins got 4 fours and got 22 runs, and Mzampa got 11, not out. But Timba made the change, and he brought in Shamsi, and I was so happy that he took 2 wickets today for his confidence for the rest of the tournament. South Africa ended up winning this match by a massive score, 134 run victory. This will massively boost our run rate, tremendously actually. And I'm extremely proud of them, because it actually puts us on top of the table now. We now on top of the table above New Zealand on net run rate with 2.360 net run rate. New Zealand is second with 1958. We both have 2 victories. So when it comes to net run rate, we're sitting on top of the table now, which I never expected after the first 2 games. So I'm really chuffed about this performance, and I really think this was an amazing victory. Before I get our first caller on the show, because this is a fan calling show, the link is in the live chat and also in the description. I'm going to read some of your comments out, because that's what this is all about. Congratulations to the Proteas, says Wakas. Congratulations, Khalid, bro, and everyone. What a win. We did it, guys. What an innings from Quinny. He is in top form. Lungi and KG stood up and performed for our bowling group. We still need some big runs from Timba. And that's what I'm actually okay with that, because I think that Timba's time will come. We didn't outbat ourselves, everybody scoring massive scores, and then there's no one left to really go and find form. I think there's still room for improvement, which is crazy. That's what makes me so happy about these performances, is that there's still room for improvement. We still have Temba Bavuma that can still find form. We still got David Miller that needs to find form. We still have Heinrich Klaassen that needs to find form in this tournament particularly. So we still got massive performances in us. And we coming up again, and I think it's poised beautifully, because we're coming up against the guys that are going to be good spinners, and we know how Heinrich and David and Temba can play against spin. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident going into the next couple of games now, because we've saw off the initial monkey on our back is off. A great start. We've done something that I asked to do is, and I said it in my preview within the magazine as well, I said, getting a good start in those first 2 games is really going to set us up for the rest of the tournament, because we've done better than the last World Cup. And that was the first thing to improve. That is a tick now, and now we continue the momentum. Comprehensive victory for our Proteas over in Australia. Over Australia, we are 2 for 2 in the Cricket World Cup 23. A good all-round performance today. We dominated all three facets of the game. Today also showed you don't need four seamers. Timba's captaincy was also on point today, keeping attacking fields and putting the Aussies under pressure, as well as rotating his bowlers to set up certain matchups. Our bowlers should get a lot of credit today. They kept their lines and lengths and made Australia go after their best deliveries, which brought wickets. This is also the best I've seen KG bowl in a long time. Yeah, and it's something that I spoke about. I said that if we can win that first game comprehensively and get on top of Australia, you're going to see a different type of KG. KG is gonna be alive when he performs that way. Janssen is being SA stock. I don't want to go that far, but bowling some unplayable with the left arm 140, but leaking runs with some poor balls. And that's young, that's youth for you. You know, consistency is always going to be one of the things that younger players need to work on. Guys, smash the like button, please. We got a lot of people coming onto the stream right now. I would like to see about 40 likes on this video, so please smash that like button. Kish, or at least give me 30 likes on the video, please. Kish showed his class. Yeah, back to that Janssen comment. Yeah, Janssen needs to. Sometimes he tries a little bit too hard to swing and create movement and all of those type of things. I think he needs to. He has a natural a natural stock swing delivery that really puts pressure on the bowlers. What I think he does really well is moving it away and then nipping it in. That ball that comes in is beautiful, and I think that's something that he's been working on. I must say that Eric Simon so far has to get plaudits. We never give enough. Before we always complained about the bowling coaches and the bowlers and the coaching staff. We need to give credit to JP Dumini. I think we need to give credit to him for what he's done with his batting attack to keep their confidence up high. And we need to give credit to Eric Simons for what he's done and how vastly these players have improved. I think the biggest credit needs to go to him for how ready he's made, how quickly he's made Lungi conditioned for this World Cup. Lungi came off a spell where he wasn't playing any games for IPL. He wasn't playing any games for the Proteas. He looked a bit shaky. A lot of us were going after him. Not me. I always said back Lungi, but okay. But there were some players and fans that were saying that perhaps Lungi's looking off it and he doesn't look fit. But they need a tremendous amount of credit for how ready they've made him ahead of this World Cup. He's bowling 140s. We all were speaking about that he's not looking that great and he's not looking that fast, but today he was bowling 140 convincingly. And when he's consistently, sorry, and when he's bowling 140 consistently, that makes his slower deliveries that we know he can do really well a lot more deadly. The back of the hand slower deliveries, the cutters, and everything that he bowls, it makes that a lot more deadly when he is bowling at 140. And I'm loving that he's bowling that quickly. I like this new Quinton, very matured, not rushing for forcing shots. This is all we've been missing, says Mo. Lawrence Bailey said this should be our bowling attack for the rest of the tournament. Today, again, showed why two spinners just balance our attack. Four seamers in India is way too much. Just look at Australia, they have a spinner short. Amit says, I felt Quinton should have started to attack 3-4 overs earlier. I don't have any, I don't really have any criticism of Quinton today because the reason I say that is because the difficulty of scoring back-to-back hundreds in any game in ODI cricket is a feat on its own. It's a very difficult thing to do. And he's done it now in a World Cup. So that's like against Australia. So I don't think there's many things that I think we can really crit him on because there was a lot of mental blockages that he'd have to overcome to be able to play with like this. But he's playing with an absolute freedom. And possibly that is because he knows he's retired at the end of this tournament and he can give it his all. I mean, even at behind the stumps, the way he was demanding intensity, shouting at the players when they're misfielding. I mean, you're on top of Australia completely, and yet he's still demanding more from the players around him. And I think that's brilliant. That's all I've ever wanted to see from Quinton de Kock. SA have now beat Australia for fourth ODI in a row. And I think, before I move on, I would beg Quinny not to retire because I think that Having Quentin de Kock in this team while you have a Diego Brevis and a Stisson Stubbs and a Donovan Ferreira and these younger players coming through the system now that are probably going to take over from Rassi and those type of guys, it would be you'll be the perfect guy in that team to keep everybody together because he knows how to communicate and get along with the younger guys. Um, and it would be the perfect example for them because he'd feel like he can tell them. I think before Quinny didn't. I don't think Quinny felt that he could speak up much because he had the likes of AB and all of these guys, Faf, and all of these strong figures in the dressing room. He just had to go out there and do what Quinny does. But Quinny, when he's involved with the game like he is right now, I think we underestimate his cricketing brain and the way he thinks about the game. And it comes out when he has players around him that he can maybe talk to because he's a little older than them. And he has that respect where he's the guy in the team that they look up to. And I think it would be the perfect transition if he was played one more season just to ease these guys in. I think it would be a perfect thing for South Africa, but unfortunately, you can't always get what you want. SA have now beat Australia for fourth ODI in a row, and all by a margin of more than 100 runs. That is very impressive. Australia losing by a margin of 100 plus runs 4 times in a row is unthinkable. Lorenzo says, I'm so happy we two from two. Oh, sorry. I'm so happy with 2 from 2 with both wins coming convincingly, but as fans, we must stay level headed. Like the players will remain level headed. No point in us talking about winning the tournament at this stage. That's why I haven't even mentioned it. I said the only way we're going to, and I'm going to remain true to this. I said that my approach to this tournament is going to be game by game. That's how the Proteas should look at it, and that's how I'm going to look at it as a fan. Try to read the conditions, apply your game to the conditions, and try to be the best that you can and leave everything on the field. Play with an intensity and try to play your natural game and adapt it to the conditions. And I'm going to take it game by game as a fan, and I think the boys will do that too. Agreed, Khalid, but the fact that we nitpicking negatives just shows how good we were today. Klaasen and Miller will come good this tournament. We saw this is in recent Australia series too. Yeah, I mean, I have to do that. It's kind of my job to look at certain aspects of the game we can improve and try to analyze it and highlight it because it would be such a boring stream if I just sit here and say, oh, I'm proud of the Proteas, ooh, yeah, and we win, and then that's the end of the stream. So I'm gonna try and do as much analysis as I can possibly when I get the opportunity. Guys, start following Aiden Markin. We've been following Eddie Markham for a very long time. I don't know what you're trying to say there, Sam. Now on to the next one on 17 against New Zealand against Netherlands. Keep focus on the next game. Don't take it lightly and team at any moment. We must play every game like we're playing a semi-final or final. That's how we must approach it. But this is certainly a great start by the boys. Surely we'll beat the Dutch, as that's non-negotiable. Just like Sri Lanka, everybody will beat the Dutch, and should we at that will be the perfect start. Yeah, we mustn't underestimate them again like we did in the T20 World Cup. That will really make me upset. Macmillan says need to stay grounded and level-headed, but looks like Australia Papergate has come full circle. Papergate has come full circle with the Smith and Stoinis dismissals. 2 minutes silence for who saying Quinny not performs in ICC events. He didn't until this point, and now he is. So yes, KG comes big against Australia. Same 11 for Netherlands, also struggles against spinners. Khalid, how ironic is it that the two players that normally fare poorly in ICC events are the two players putting in massive performance for us so far? And so they should, as they are the best players. Lovely to see. Aiden and Quinzercock batting from another planet. Macmillan says Temba struggling on the Indian wickets. Can see batters who play IPL understand the conditions, but it's fine because I think that's what I'm happy about. That you'll get better as the tournament goes along. Definitely, I think. Um, we need him to perform in a couple of games where the others aren't performing. And I think that's where Timba's really going to step up. And that's his role, I think, in this team, in this World Cup. Yes, there's going to probably be games where he performs and everybody else does too. I'm hoping that will be like in a semi or something. But I think there's going to be some games where we're really going to need Timba to step up, and that's when he will, as the tournament goes along. I think he's learned enough about the Indian wickets in the first 2 games. He's a smart batter, and I think he's now had enough. He had a little bit more time in the middle today, so and it was against a good bowling attack. So I think that he'll be able to now free himself against the Netherlands and then kick on in the tournament. Also, I think that playing two spinners should be the constant unless you're playing on a wicket that seem friendly like Dharmasala might be. But the minnow teams tend to struggle against the spin. And I think I've always said it at the beginning of this tournament that majority of the time we should be playing the four spin, four spinners, the two spinners in as many matches as we can. Rob asked Pavuma to keep his strike rate high. I think we can take on England, India, and New Zealand. Hopefully, we can, says Nizam. Rabada brought back memories of that 2018 series bowling. Where is that Siraj guy now? Someone tell him that Kundrakok is destroying teams in the World Cup. McGuinness says you're getting a bit of overzealous. Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan get got best spinners. They 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 got a very good spinning unit, and we're going to, like I said, we need to focus. We need to focus and play the conditions to the best of our ability. We've got some of the best players of spin in our team, and they have some of the best spinners in their team. So it's going to be a proper battle, but we need to keep our head. We mustn't get ahead of ourselves, and we need to take it game by game. Don't underestimate any team. This is the best I have seen SA bowl in ODIs for a long time. Fielding was magnificent too. Eric Simon's a serial winner, the World Cup with India, and won multiple IPLs with Chennai. His winning mentality is a massive for us. I love the way he speaks about the game. I'm a big fan of his. Um, Khalid, who is vice captain for SA, I think it is Aiden Markram because he captains when Temba is not there. We don't have an official vice captain, but I think he is the vice captain. We can safely say that he is. Ivan says Temba must start thinking about giving others some chances to play in his place. I don't think so at all. He's a brilliant captain and he will come good in this tournament. I have full belief in that. He has one of the best averages in ODI cricket at the moment. Why would you want to drop him? Like, I mean, after poor performances, you're going to drop Steve Smith and David Warner. No, you're not, even though they performed crap in the first two games. So I think that's a little bit premature. Just hope SA gets some luck in KOs this time. We must stop. When something that our fan base does a lot is we mix up Temba's performances internationally for T20 game with his how he plays in the longer format. He's one of our best batters in the last 4 years in the longer formats, Test and ODIs. And I think fans mix that up. Just hope SA some luck in KOs this time. As much as they have choked, they have been unlucky with the rain too. While Steve Smith and Marcus Stoinis dismissals were controversial, I feel that Smith was given out correctly, but that Stoinis dismissal was wrong. I don't know if that Stoinis dismissal was wrong. It looked like it hit the handle, not his bottom hand like he claims it. That's what I thought, at least when I looked at it. His bottom hand looked very far away from the ball, and it looked like it hit the handle of the bat. Excellent performance, as Hussein. We mustn't lose our form on the latter ends of the tournament. No, we mustn't. Yeah, I agree. Take it game by game, beat the Dutch on Tuesday, and prepare for the big game against England. There's a legend in the 50 over. Temba is a legend in the 50 over game today. Him and Quinton Cox, 100 partnership, took the game away early on, and we'll see. I'm positive that we'll see him kick on later on as the tournament progresses. I think England is a good team for Temba to come good. Netherlands and then England. That can be two games that he can put down as games that he wants to dominate in. Okay, let me get a caller on the show. We've got Stuart waiting patiently. He's been waiting here for 30 minutes in the background. Welcome to the show, Stuart. Take it away. The floor is yours. Let me know how you're feeling about this particular victory.
Well, watching the live chats and listening to you, it's not really any too much more to add. Obviously, I was very happy with the cock. I thought he played excellently. I particularly enjoyed how he played his cut shots today. I thought he played that brilliantly, but he was good all around the ground. Temba, I know a lot of people are saying, he needs to get back in form and all of that. And I do agree with you that, the Netherlands and England will be the right teams for him to come into form against. But I think we also mustn't be too critical of him. He got a good ball in the first game that would have got 9 out of 10 batters out. And today, it was a good catch, in my opinion, on the boundary by Warner that got him out. Yes, you can argue it was a sweep shots on. But I felt that even then, like even though he was looking a bit streaky at the start, he still managed to get a 40 runs and help Quinton settle and become confident and contribute to a 100-run partnership. So I don't think we should be overly critical of him. The bowling, I was blown away by how well we bowled. I didn't expect that. KG, when he knocked Inglis over, I literally sat on the couch and I was like, how did you do? How did you do that? But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think to put it informally, it was a good game. To be fair, I was happy to see Shamsi get 2 wickets and get a bit of a ball. I I think it'll be interesting to see what we do going into the game against the Netherlands, or in terms of, if we're going to rest certain players or um, all of that. Because if I'm not mistaken, the next ground we're playing the Netherlands at is quite a high scoring ground. So it'll be interesting to see what we do there. But all in all, I think, as you said, it's very difficult to nitpick, what went wrong today. I do think Miller needs to get more of the strike, specifically when he's batting with Janssen. Um, but still, today it came off. But yeah, we just need to maybe sharpen those 2 or 3 things out. But all in all, I don't think you can fault any of our players, to be honest with you, with how well we played today.
Mm-hmm. Aaron says, what really changed the game was Lungi's bowling up front, great control, set the tone, piled on pressure, top performance. What do you think about that comment there, Stuart?
Yeah, I agree. I was also, to be honest with you, and I know 6 months ago, I was one of the people that, was a bit concerned about Lungi's form, particularly before we had the England series, I think when the SA20 was happening, because his pace did look down. And all of a sudden, when we played in Blom, I remember he was moving the ball sideways and, consistently keeping his pace up. And now it looks like he's even taken it to another level. I felt that the way that he bowled to Warner specifically was amazing. And yeah, I think the way that he just managed to move the ball at pace was honestly very clever. And I thought that going around the wickets was a very clever move, because you've seen how bowlers like Stuart Broad and the Ashes have got Warner by going around the wickets. So I think it's good to see not only him bowling well and all of that, but you can see he's also his game plans of, I don't want to say, I don't want to do him a disservice, but it looks like he's giving a little bit more, I don't know, like tactics behind the scene and planning for each batter, which, I really respect.
Mm-hmm. Larry says, hi Khalid, so how do we go through to the semis? What is our chances and what's your opinion? Because, wow, man, the boys are looking on form lately, making us proud. Now, I've got a couple of things that I want to say, and I think South Africa, what they've done so far, it's easy for me to say, it's quite cliche. Keep doing what you're doing. But it's not just keep doing what you're doing. For me, I want to flesh that out a bit. What do I mean by keep doing what they're doing? What are they doing is the question. What they are doing is making the right decisions in pressure moments. That is something that they've been doing. I think that the decisions that they've made with regards to the tactics has been spot on in this games in this tournament so far. They've focused on their game, and I know this has to be true because based on the press conferences that we've heard before this tournament, from Eric Simons, from Lungi Ngidi, I'm not Lungi Ngidi, sorry, from JP Dumini, from Quentin de Kock, all of the guys that have spoken ahead of this tournament have said the similar things, that they understand that the opposition is good. They've analyzed what the opposition brings, but it's not about thinking about how are we going to combat Stark, or how are we going to combat Hazelwood, how are we going to bowl to Smith. how are we going to bowl to Warner. It's about how can we get the best lengths that we can get on this particular pitch. How can we put the ball in areas? It's a different switch in. It's a switch of mindset. I think it's how can we get the best out of our own ability, because that's exactly, if you back yourself in something, the only thing that you can do is be as best as you possibly can be. You can't be more than what you can be, what your ability is. So by focusing on their own game and trying to be the best at, and trying to execute their plans as best as possible, that's what they're doing correctly in this tournament, and that's what I think is happening. That's why I think is why I say that the importance of taking it game by game, the importance of taking looking at the conditions and then adapting your game accordingly and playing the situation and taking it bit by bit. It's so important, because that ends up happening. Because you do see when they try to sway from the plan, they tend to then either lose a wicket or go for a couple of runs, etc. But when they stick to their disciplines and they try to bowl the best ball that they can bowl, every single delivery they run in, they try to bowl the best ball that they can in that moment, put it on the right lengths, etc., they get the results. Now, I don't want to run away from this, because Australia is looking poor and Sri Lanka is looking poor. The batters aren't. The batters are looking good. So in the fact that the Sri Lanka's batters are not looking bad at all. Their bowlers are looking good in spells, and I think that South Africa combated them quite well in the first game. These are not, at the moment, Australia's got destroyed by India and they're coming into this game with low confidence. I don't want to run away from this performance, even though it was a brilliant one from South Africa. But we need to take it game by game and just keep our focus. What's your thoughts on some of that, Stuart?
No, I completely agree. That's why, specifically with the bowling, I don't think it's necessarily 100% right to just say this should be the set lineup for the tournament. Like, I can understand, people's opinion, like the way that people justify it and stuff like that. But if you look at India the other day when they played Afghanistan, look, I know it was a green wicket as well, but they also played three seamers, and I think they left the spinner out, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you're definitely right in saying you have to assess the conditions first. And that's why I think, someone like Eric Simons in the setup will be useful to help with that, specifically with the bowlers. I think another key point that I think is, I don't want to say being underlooked, and I'm not trying to sound disrespectful, to teams like the Netherlands or Bangladesh, because we all know that they've got players of quality and stuff like that. But I just think that, in order to go far in the tournament, we also got to make sure that, we rest players at certain points. Specifically, I'd like to see, not all the time, but like maybe some bowlers like KG get a game off against the Netherlands, for example, and we play like, I don't know, we can rotate, or you can rotate Marco Jansen with Petla Kwai, for example. And I know it may be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but my logic is you can't expect our bowlers to be performing at the same level that they did against Sri Lanka as they would do at the end of the tournament. They're naturally going to be getting tired. The weather in India is quite hot and humid generally. So I think it's important that, we manage our players effectively, because I think that's also a key to going into the going far in the tournament. Obviously, without, there's no point in just resting a plan and you end up losing the game. You've got to make sure that, it's the performance level wouldn't drop drastically if you rotate player A with player B.
Yeah, that's the key. That will be the key thing. If they can do that successfully, then we know we have a coaching staff and a brains trust up there that we can really, really trust. Marco has great potential. He can swing the ball both ways and can extract great bounce, and his speeds are also has also increased. I agree, and I think he's just going to get better. Marco is very thin as well. He needs to put some meat on that body. So once he starts putting meat on that body and getting a little bit more toned and bigger, more stronger. I don't want him to get too big, then he's going to lose pace. But as he tones more and he grows more, because he can still grow, funny enough, as tall as he is, he can still grow physically, muscle wise, he can still grow. So he's still maturing. He can only get better. Janssen needs to work on rotating the strike and accumulating runs that should take him to the next level. That is very true. And I think that will be added into his game. But I'm liking that he's doing his role at the moment, which I like. He's playing with no fear. He's going out there and he's hitting, he's clearing the ropes. Have you been impressed? How impressed have you been with Marco's batting in recent times?
Honestly, to be honest with you, when I listen to you and obviously the other guys on the channel and our fans talk about him, when he started, I almost just saw him as like a bowler who could hit a long ball kind of thing. I didn't necessarily think he was an out and out all rounder. But then I watched him a little bit in the SA20, and I don't want to muddle up the formats. And you could see he's got good hand-eye coordination and all of that. And when I watched him at the Wanderers in the final game against Australia before the World Cup, I was blown away with how well he played. That 40 that he scored, in my opinion, was worth the 80. So I think yes, he does have a lot that he needs to work on, but I think he's in his short career so far, he's come a very long way in international cricket with the bat. So, yeah, I do think he could rotate the strike a little bit more, but honestly, he's done amazing, in my opinion, with how far he's come.
Smash the like button, subscribe, click the notification bell if you've joined us right now. I want to see 40 likes on the video, please, if you can help us get that. And we're on the road to 5K subscribers, so please help us get there as well. I watched him in the Kai Majola week, and that's when I noticed that he can bat. That's the first time I actually noticed that he can bat. He actually played in the Colts team, not in the schools, in the SA schools team, which was funny enough. And his brother actually outperformed him in that tournament, to be honest. Dwan Janssen played really well in the beginning stages of that tournament, and then he got injured. And then Marco actually made the Colts team and not the SAA team. And it was all the SA schools team. And he batted really well and bowled really well in that match. And I thought, wow, this boy has something. But when I noticed it was when I know it's just the nets, but I was like, because if you look at him, you don't think that he can strike the ball that hard, like from the outset. Now, I'm looking at this boy when he was 9. I'm talking when he's 19 years old. And I went to the Durban Super Giants net session and he was batting in the nets. And I was standing at the back of Newlands because they played the Cape Town Blitz, I think their name was, at the time. So they played the Cape Town Blitz at the time. And I was at the back of the nets, quite a distance. And I was shooting the training. And others heard this ball. I didn't even see it. The ball, others heard the sound. I don't know if you ever heard the sound of a ball hit struck past you, and it just went past my head. And I just heard, that's what I heard. And then I looked and I was like, where did that come from? And I didn't know it was Marco because I was busy standing this way, and others had past me. And then another one came above me, and others heard it hit. And then I'm looking, it's Marco hitting the ball like that. And then the one ball came for me, and I put my hand out, and I caught it, but like, my hand was like swollen afterwards. It was like, and I caught it with momentum and everything, like we thought, and it stung, and I was like, this boy hits the ball bloody hard. They're like, and then that's when I realized I stood on the side of training and I started watching them because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna stand in the way of Marco while he's hitting that ball straight down the ground like that. I was quite shocked by how hard he hit the ball. What really impressed me about Lungi since the latter part of the Australia series is how he's swinging the ball both ways at good pace. He also uses the slower ball much less, which brings unpredictability, says Lawrence. Lungi bowled a great control and swung the ball today. Hopefully, he continues rocking. Might be a blessing in disguise that Magala was injured. Wish him well, but he probably would have taken Lungi's spot. Magala's playing for the Lions in the One Day Cup. We know that. Netherlands beat SA last year. They are perfectly capable of winning at least one. Should rotate one bowler at best and play a full batting. That's what Stuart said. Yeah, he wasn't looking physically fit in the Australia T20s though, so I think it was probably the right decision to leave him behind. There is no reason to rotate batting unless someone is sick or has a niggle. I don't think maybe with the batting, maybe not,
Mm,
because I think form is everything with batters, and consistency. So I wouldn't maybe rotate the batting, but for the bowlers, I think the workload's going to get hectic. Bowling so many overs in such a short space of time is taxing on the body. Lawrence says, agree with Stuart. Our bowlers will have to be rotated against the likes of Netherlands, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. Maybe a Williams in for KG as an example, or even Gerald Coetzee.
mm,
That pace will do us wonders against those teams specifically that don't know him well. Callum says maybe a slightly out of what you are saying question in my eyes.
yeah.
He's always been, and I don't think he's a six. I think he's a three, a four, or five. Even
Mm,
he can even bat a three for me. The higher up, the better for me. Not opening, but like 4 or 5 for me. Because Tristan Stubbs, when he gets his eye in, he's destructive. He's not a player that comes out to the middle and the smacks from ball one. And I
mm,
hope that they see him as that type of player, because we have the ability to be able to now move Aiden to three, or maybe open with someone like if Quinny leaves. That could be a possibility down the line. I'm not saying that they should go with that because he's batting beautifully at four, but there's an opening spot if Rassi leaves in the batting lineup, and it's a possible if Rassi finishes after this World Cup, because he is nearing the end, and it is something that we can look into. Bringing a Tristan Stubbs into that top order can be deadly for South Africa. Imagine a top order, a middle order of Tristan Stubbs, Heinrich Klaassen, and David Miller. It would
mm.
be phenomenal. So we should actually look at something like that. What's your thoughts on Tristan? And
Yeah, I love him, man. Like, I know it sounds, I don't want to sound too soppy and all that. I think, um, with the price tag that he got in the SA20 auction, I think maybe it brought a little bit of too much pressure on him too soon. Um, but, from what I've seen of him, you're 100% right. He's not a David Miller who just hits massive sixes. He's can also rotate strike. He obviously can get you the boundary options, but also like the fact that he can keep if you need him to, and he also can bowl off spin as well. So I think it's very rare that you get a complete sort of three-dimensional cricketer, and I think he definitely, I could see him batting at maybe 4 or 5, because I think for me, someone like a Ryan Rickleton could maybe come in for a Quinton de Kock at the top of the order when Quinton does retire. But again, I could see him definitely being in the team. I was actually a bit shocked that he was left out of the squad initially for the World Cup. But yeah, it's good to see him perform.
mhm. With Marco, it seems that he gets very frustrated when he makes a mistake when bowling, and it leads to another mistake with the next ball that might try. He might try too hard and then sends one down leg or bounce wide, and that's something that he will improve, I think, as the tournament goes along. That's something that I think will improve as he gets older. Sorry, that's what I actually mean to say. I'm sure it will come with maturity, says it in reading my mind. Macmillan says, think Lazard's line and length could be useful on these Indian conditions, and he can be a useful bowler on these pitches with his bowlers ball with slower balls, and also bowls into the pitch, which works on India. Plus, he bats.
Mm,
So I've always said that Andile is a useful person to have in the squad, right? And I think they'll utilize him where is necessary. What I think South Africa is doing really great at the moment, right, is the decisions that they're making. They seem to be making the right decisions at the right
mm,
times, which is something that was obviously worked on and spoken about.
mm,
It's not. It doesn't seem like this team was just told go out there and do your best. You know, it looks like they've been given plans, been taught scenarios, been told about certain situations and said, if you're in this situation, this is how you get out of it. If you're in that situation, this is how you get out of it. You need to bowl a good delivery to me to get me out. You need to um, really hit my good balls for six if you want to have be dominant against me. Or I need to bowl a poor delivery for you to really knit me out the park. or to score some runs off me. It looks like they've clamped down on that, and I think that's the communication in this camp. And I think the team that they're brewing over here, the communication within this camp has been fantastic.
Mm.
I was at the ground today, says Pratik. Well, that's amazing. Must say I have not seen Australia drop so many catches. It was a real experience. A long way to go, but this would be a great confidence booster for the matches to come. One game at a time, please, guys. Like Jordan Sparks says, one step at a time. Maybe we risk the cost. He's already struggling with crabs. That could be an option, I think, because I mean he's
Mm.
already scored the 2 centuries. He's done great. Netherlands could be a good rest game for him. What do
Yeah,
you think, this to it?
I think that's why with the batting, he was obviously the bowling is more the thing that I'm more concerned about with resting and rotating players. But I think, with Quinton, he also, we've seen, he's someone who also likes a bit of time away from the game as well. And I don't know if it's maybe a thing of they should maybe ask him what he would prefer, because he is in, a purple patch of note, is an understatement. But I think maybe if it's coming from a point of, listen, we know you're in good form. We want to try and make sure that you're fresh and whatever. Maybe a Reza could come in for him, or and maybe even, I don't know, for Tembo or Rassi at a later stage, Reza could come in as well, um, just to make sure that guys aren't being um, overcooked, because we've got a lot of matches still to play. I'm not saying if we play in New Zealand and all of that, we should rest players and all of that, but I definitely think we just have to be smart about making sure that we don't lose a Quinny or a KG or a Shamsi. Or we've got to make sure that all the guys are fresh throughout the tournaments, in my opinion.
Dex says the Dutch at Damashala. Gee, another 400 on the cards for me, and I want to see Rudolph cry. Um, we mustn't underestimate the Netherlands again. Otherwise, I'm going to be again angry, almost swearing every second minute, like the last game against the Netherlands in the World Cup. Naba Woman needs to lead from the front with the bat in World Cup now. I know he is in good form in bilateral, but World Cup, it matters most. It's a completely different ball game. I'm hoping that the Netherlands would be a good turnaround for him. And having Riza that's in form on the bench is a good option to have, to come in for
Mm,
Kwani if they do decide they want to rest him, if he's feeling a little bit of cramps. But it should be totally his decision, I think.
mm.
I was impressed with how Kutsia and the boys was celebrating on the side when we got wickets. That's great. It shows the intent of the team. Guys, I'm shooting high, Booker, and Proteas going to take it. Whoa. Yes. Imagine that.
The celebration day
Wow.
should just be a public holiday if that ever did happen.
If that happens, it's the downfall of Australia cricket and rugby, and the incline of South Africa, the cricket team and the Springboks. Not like the Springboks haven't been performing for a long time, but yeah. Okay, let me get a couple of the last questions in over here. I mean, comments in over here. Um, Riza has a great chance to start against the Netherlands. Marco is the most important to give some balance in the team. Hope he would be rested in a few games, and Lazard and Andile get some good chances too. I don't really like resting batsmen unless they are sick or have niggles, cramps, and well, cramps are normal in these conditions. They rested players before the World Cup. Next ODI will be in South Africa. South Africa should return and should nurture the team for 2027 World Cup. Yep, I said they should have nurtured team for this World Cup. That's what I said, but they didn't do that. Um, Andy being another left-handed batter is an appealing idea. KG is always great against Australia. Surprised by Ngiri's role today. I wasn't. Don't take Netherlands lightly. I didn't expect him to be as accurate, as consistent for as long a period of time in the
Mm,
match. But I did know that he's going to be key, and that's why I wrote in my preview that he's going to be key on this wicket, because he also has experience bowling there.
mm.
Who is thinking to rest? Come on, dude. It's a World Cup, says Aditya. We should play full strength side against the Dutch. No mercy. New Zealand, SA, England, India are likely semi-finalists as of now, says Jatil. I think we still have a long way to go for there. I think we need to take into consideration, we need to play our best cricket and focus on our own games,
Mm.
because the Netherlands have very good bowlers. They have a very good bowling attack. So some of the there are some great bowlers in that bowling attack that can give South Africa some problems. So I just really want to see them be ruthless against the Dutch. Really put them away, because we need some revenge. Looks like it's just the start. Looks like it, but it's just the start of the tournament. We need to slow down. I think as a fan base, we need to slow down and not get carried away. One game at a time. It's only the second game of the tournament. Still a hell of a long way to go. We still have to play a hell of a lot of top teams. We still have to play last year's champions, this year's favorites, India, Pakistan, who always come turn up in these matches. Bangladesh has a very good team, and any given day they can cause an upset. So there's a lot of teams. Netherlands are a wild card. You never know what's going to happen with them. Um, we must see. We must take it game by game and just calm down and not get too carried away. There's still a long way to this tournament. I'm very happy with the performances so far. Like I'm really proud of the boys. More like I can say that. But we need to take it slow. We need to slow down and just focus. Take it game by game. Stuart, thanks a lot for coming on the show. To all of the guys out there, thanks a lot for joining in the comment section, etc. Subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. If you like what we are doing here at Cricket Fanatics magazine and you want to show your support and to help us continue doing what we are doing here, then please become a patron today. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Smash the like button, comment, and share. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. To all the fans out there, thanks a lot for joining in and making this an amazing show with all your great comments in the live chat. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. We'll probably do a Q&A and a reaction, maybe, etc. to something, or we'll probably do a Q&A show for you guys to be able to ask me any questions. But stay safe, enjoy the rest of the evening, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Peace out, everyone.